Hey guys, this is EJ Holland with the Wolverine.com, and I was back on the road after a couple of month layoff. Obviously, we had the holidays and the late signing period, but was back on the road seeing some of Michigan's top 2024 recruiting targets. Before we talk about that, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to the Wolverine.com today for just $29.99 until August 31st. That gets you premium insider recruiting information, team information, basketball recruiting, NIL transfer portal, and so much more. Plus, you get to be part of a great, vibrant message board community over on the Fort. All of that is just $29.99 until August 31st. And, of course, that gets you through spring football, through the summer official visit season, the end of basketball season. So don't miss out on our limited time offer. All right, guys, like I said, we're back with another episode of The Road Report. It's been a while, so I was excited to get back on the road for the first time since, I want to say, late November is the last game I went to in the fall. And it actually happened to be Dylan Stewart, who is the first recruit I saw here in the new year. Dylan Stewart is the nation's number 5 overall recruit in the country, as well as the number 1 edge. Stewart is a guy that is extremely high on Michigan's priority board for this cycle. Obviously, you see kind of the 5-star level ranking, and you think, oh man, Michigan's not going to have a true shot because of NIL. And obviously, NIL has given us a lot of pause when it comes to Michigan recruiting, and rightfully so. There's no true plan on the recruiting trail when it comes to Michigan and NIL. It's more of the same, transformational over transactional, and that's not necessarily going to appeal to recruits that are as highly touted as Stewart is. However, I do think there are a handful of recruits that fit the Michigan mold that would be willing to look past the pay for play. And if Michigan can get its base salary model going soon, which it's been soon for several months, so hopefully it does happen soon. If they are able to put that in place, then I think that at least gives Michigan recruits a baseline to have something guaranteed, right? So I think a small group of the elite would consider Michigan and would legitimately consider going to Michigan. Obviously, we had the Nicholas Harbaugh situation happen down the stretch, and once NIL became a true factor, it didn't seem like the Wolverines were all that much in it. Early on in the Dylan Stewart race, I do believe Michigan is a true factor here. Stewart does not have a top schools list and does not plan to release one. However, I do feel like Michigan would be in his top 5 if he put one out today. I think Ohio State is also in there. I think Georgia is also in there. I think South Carolina is another school that's definitely in there, and Alabama as well. So obviously the SEC schools are a little scary, the football factories of Georgia and Alabama, as well as the NIL-friendly South Carolina Gamecocks, will make this a difficult recruitment to win. However, Michigan has a lot to sell. Stewart's a really good student in the classroom. Michigan has the best of the academics by a mile. Edge development will be key here. Michigan has been terrific at developing pass rushers. You've seen guys going high in the draft, obviously Aiden Hutchinson, David Ajabo, and now Mike Morris, and that's definitely appealing to Stewart. Another plus is Stewart has been to Michigan before, so it's not like this is just some random 5-star guy they have no chance with that's never seen campus. Stewart made his way to Michigan last year for an unofficial visit, and he told me he's planning to get back to Ann Arbor for another visit in March. On top of that, he's a good friend of Aaron Childs, another DMV native and top Michigan recruit. Childs told me that Michigan has the lead for him, and if Michigan's able to close with Childs, I think it gives Stewart more of an opportunity to say, hey, look, another top 100 recruit from my hometown, my friend, decided to pick Michigan over some of these NIL schools and football factories. And so I think Childs would be a very active recruiter when it comes to Stewart. And lastly, he's developed really good relationships with the coaching staff. Head coach Jim Harbaugh has been involved here. Dylan Ronnie, staffer who works closely with UM's pass rushers, has done a terrific job so far. He really likes defensive line coach Mike Elston. Running backs coach Mike Hart, who is now leading the charge in D.C., has a really good relationship with his high school coach. So, yes, I do feel like Michigan could make some noise in the Stewart recruitment. Now, I'm not predicting Michigan to win this recruitment. It's going to be extremely tough for all the reasons I've already mentioned, but Michigan is a true player here. And as far as Stewart as a player, I absolutely love him, man. I think he's the number one edge for a reason. He's about 6'4", 6'5", 235 pounds. He has a really muscular, thick build. He's not necessarily a lanky edge. He's definitely more filled out. He's super athletic. He's extremely physical. He can run sideline to sideline. He can drop back into pass coverage as well. I even saw him playing some Mike linebacker this fall. So a lot to like about Dylan Stewart, which should, again, come as no surprise considering he's the nation's top edge recruit. After I saw Stewart, I had a chance to see another edge target out in the DMV, and that is Dominic Nichols out of Oakdale. He's a more recent offer. He's not a guy that a lot of Michigan fans are necessarily familiar with, but he is the number 22 edge in the country and number 277 overall prospect. So like I said, Michigan just offered a few weeks ago. Mike Elston actually dropped by his high school during the contact period and had a chance to see him. He received an offer directly from Dylan Ronnie, who, like I mentioned, works with the Michigan pass rushers. And Nichols is actually a guy that's been on Michigan's radar for a while. So even though he's a newer offer or maybe a newer name to Michigan fans, he was on campus last year for one of Michigan's summer camps. So he's familiar with Elston. He is familiar with co-defensive coordinator Steve Klingscale, and he's familiar with what the Michigan program has to offer. Now, Nichols is another high academic kid. He really mentioned Michigan's education and talked about how much he valued it. Kind of in the same mold as Dylan Stewart. He was very impressed with the way Michigan has worked with its edge target or with its edge players. And Nichols is quickly rising up the edge board and becoming a top target. Now, Penn State is considered the leader on the On3 recruiting prediction machine, but Nichols seems very, very open, and he told me Michigan is a school he really wants to get back to in the near future. As far as him as a player, he's 6'5", 240 pounds, really athletic build. I think he can add another 25 pounds to his frame, no problem. We talk about athletic build, and that athleticism doesn't necessarily pop out on tape, which I think held Michigan back for a little bit. But he is a guy that, again, I think can add weight, has great natural strength, and can unlock extra athleticism by getting in the right strength and conditioning program, by putting on weight the right way, by getting more flexible. I think Nichols is very much an upside player. I like where he's ranked, kind of in that 250 to 300 range nationally. He's a really, really good player. And like I said, I think he'll get back to Michigan for another visit, and I think the Wolverines will quickly ascend as a top contender there. So after I saw Nichols, I made the drive into West Virginia for the PA Elite Winter Championships, Club 7-on-7, and had a chance to see four-star wide receiver target Amarion Stewart out of Bolingbrook, Illinois, playing with Midwest Boom. So I only had a chance to stay for the first day of the tournament, since the next day was my anniversary and I had to make the drive back. But I did get to see Stewart in 3 7-on-7 games, and he was one of the most dominant players at the event. Now, Stewart's not necessarily a big burner or a guy that has verified track times, but he's pretty speedy, he's fast enough, and he's really explosive in short space. He's a guy that has some nice bursts to him. But what's really impressive about Stewart is how tactical of a route runner he is. He knows how to create separation. He has an arsenal of releases that he uses. He is a complete mismatch nightmare in the slot. A lot of times defenses just didn't adjust on the fly. So he had several one-on-one matchups with linebackers, and it was completely unfair. He absolutely cooked them for several touchdowns. And he is a versatile guy. His 7-on-7 team used him in motion a lot. He's a guy that, again, can line up in the slot. He can also line up out wide when he actually has pads on. He can be a return man as well. So there's a lot to like about Stewart. 6 foot, 177 pounds, just kind of a wiry build, has long arms, good catch radius, really strong hands, natural pass catcher. And like I said, just really impressive route runner. And a guy that consistently knows how to get open, really reliable target as well. I don't think Stewart is a flashy guy. I think he's actually the offensive version of Jacob Oden, who is Michigan's new safety commit, in the sense that Oden is a very high floor guy and not necessarily a high ceiling guy. You know what you're getting in Jacob Oden. He's a very safe take. Same thing with Amarion Stewart. I don't think there's a huge ceiling there, but I think he's a very safe take, really high floor. Just really like the kid, man. He also fits the Michigan mold. Terrific personality, super nice kid. Right now, he is ranked as the number 44 wide receiver and number 295 overall prospect nationally on the On3 consensus. So I think he's a little undervalued there. I'd probably put him in the 200 to 250 range. He is a top target on the Michigan wide receiver board, which is loaded with highly touted recruits, but Ron Bellamy really values Stewart. He has made him a priority. Stewart visited multiple times in the fall and returned to Michigan for another unofficial visit last month. I think Michigan has the lead here. I have a prediction in for the Wolverines and feel pretty confident about that. Last two Michigan targets I had a chance to see at the 7-on-7 tournament were a pair of 2025 recruits with ties to the Michigan program. The first was Quinn Morris, wide receiver out of Plainfield, Illinois. Goes to East High School out there. He is the younger brother of Michigan wide receiver Tyler Morris. And Quinn's kind of a mini version of Tyler Morris, I would say. He's not a super impressive athlete. He's definitely not a burner, but a great route runner, very technical, very savvy player, super high football IQ, knows how to get open. He led his team to the championship at this tournament. I'm really interested to see how Quinn Morris grows as a player. I think he still needs to add some more weight. I do think he needs to get faster and more explosive. He visited Michigan more than basically any other recruit. He was at almost every home game, and he really loves the program. He's already developed a great connection with Jim Harbaugh and Ron Bellamy through their recruitment of Tyler. So I think Michigan is the early favorite there. And lastly, I saw Christian Pierce, the younger brother of 2023 Michigan defensive line signee Trey Pierce. Christian is a true natural inside backer, right at about 6 foot, 220 pounds, man. He's a big, thick kid. I think on film he's really impressive as a run stuffer. Like I said, just a natural inside backer. Playing club 7-on-7 isn't his strong suit. He's not a guy that looked super comfortable in coverage, but it's great to see him working on that area of his game, trying to improve his coverage, which is something he can improve on. He's definitely a banger when he has a helmet on, and now it's good to see him trying to get faster, trying to get more comfortable in coverage, and getting in that offseason work with Midwest Boom. Really interested to see how both of these guys develop over the next couple of years and how big of priorities they become for the Wolverines, and if they become better than their older brothers. We'll have to see. All right, guys, I'll be back on the road this week, so make sure to stay plugged into thewolverine.com for the latest on Michigan recruiting, just $29.99 until August 31st. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is completely free.